October the 29th, 1965 in Peoria County, Illinois. I had been hunting whitetails there since the season opened October 1st, and I had seen this buck prior, and he was larger than usual, and so I decided to try to hold out for him, and I had been hunting him every day after I got off work. I had seen him in this bean stubble field, or bean field. It hadn't been harvested yet. I had plum trees and had tree stands, and that didn't work, so I thought, well, I'll try a different approach. So I went down the field a wee bit and made myself a blind on the edge of the field in the grass, and got down on my knees and propped my bow up with a forked stick, and proceeded to wait the evening out. The sun had just barely cleared the trees, and he come out of the far corner of the bean field and crossed over to my side of the field and proceeded to walk up the field. I lost sight of him for a while behind the trees, so to speak, on the side of the field because he was so close to the edge. And then all of a sudden he appeared and was walking within 15 to 20 feet of me on the edge of the field. And when I first saw him, he was just walking along with a roll to his body, as a lot of big bucks do. They have a tendency to rock when they walk. And he took a few steps and got just about across from me, and he sort of hesitated, and he turned and he looked at me, and then he just turned his head back and took about 2 or 3 more steps. At that time, I raised and shot him through the chest cavity or the lungs. Then he turned and ran directly away from me over the rise in the field and went out of sight. So then I stood up and I walked out and I looked, and I could see him out in the field still kicking a little bit, and walked towards him, picked my arrow up off the ground, which had passed through him, and walked out to him. And he was a rather large animal. He dressed 270 pounds. We'd put him about 340 on the hoof. I took him into the Natural History Museum in Chicago, and they had a curator measure him there, and I had studied the measuring system quite a bit. I knew pretty much what I had, and the fellow was measuring him, and he said, well, this is not really what we're looking for. He says he's not symmetrical enough and this and that. And he come up with a score about 9 or 10 inches less than I did, and I was completely deflated. And I thought, oh my land, what's going on? I couldn't have made that big a mistake, you know. So I took my deer and I went home, put him up on the table and started measuring the entire thing all over again. And I got down to the last measurements, which this fellow had forgotten to take. So then I got the number of the Boone and Crockett Club. Well, they come up with a score of 204 4/8. At a later date, I was invited to the Carnegie Museum in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where I got the Sagamore Hill Award. And then in Pope and Young, which is the archery side of it, I got the world record and the Ishii Award. Nobody has ever gotten both of them top awards. After 33 years, it's still the bow and arrow world record.